around, leave like maybe wherever I'm at by 3, 4 o'clock. My flight's at 6.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to get to the airport by 2 a.m.
This is nice. This whole little arm thing. You can be as short, tall, or crooked
Welcome
as
to
you
the
want.
Crypto Show on 89.1 FM, the Logos Radio Network. We're coming to you live from the real heart of the resistance, the most dangerous studio on the planet.
Is that us? Is that my phone?
That's quite a ring you got there.
Sorry, I farted.
That was Paul.
Whoa. It's eating that food from across the street. It's quite fiery.
It is very fiery.
It gets ballistic.
Paul me gusta los tacos de raton.
That's right. Go ahead.
Welcome to the Crypto Show on 89.1 FM, the Logos Radio Network. We're coming to you live from the real heart of the resistance, the most dangerous studio on the planet. At Defense Distributed, home of the Ghost Gunner and the Crypto D&D Studio, where we're printing and milling out freedom, undermining the banks and the man, but having some fun while we do it.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain, yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. They're laboratory mice, their genes have been sliced. They're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain.
Peeking the Brain, Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, Alien Scare. If only there was some outside threat that could bring the nations of the world together. Ronald Reagan in front of the United Nations. Thank you very much. Welcome, guys, to the Crypto Show. It is another recording on this lovely Tuesday, February 28th, 2017, at the last official day of Anarchapulco. There are some unofficial days to follow with workshops and various other fun times to be had. So if you're still doing that, good for you. I'm flying back tomorrow, though. Got to go home. We are rounding out the day with maybe not our final interview, but maybe second to final interview with a couple returning guests. We've got Paul Puey, CEO and founder of Airbits, and an advocate of those who want to make Bitcoin great again. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me again, guys.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure being on. There you go.
This is one of those parties.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Trace, where's your
my
hat?
My hat's at my, I left it. I didn't bring it here, but I got one too.
Yeah, put it on. I mean,
Now we know you don't love Trump.
Yeah, no. And you,
Trace has one too. Picture it didn't happen.
No, I tweeted it when I got it. I got mine before you guys did.
yeah.
Ooh.
I got mine in
I got mine
Miami.
before Trace did, actually. Didn't I? It was in Argentina.
We tweeted the picture together.
yeah, exactly. So,
Guys,
about the same time.
Guys, please.
Contemporaneous, same
Yeah.
block.
We all want to get pepper
Same
sprayed
block.
together.
I like that.
We all
That's
wanna
how
get
we
pepper
measure
sprayed
time.
together at the
It's
same time, yeah.
simultaneously as long as it was in the same block. What did you say?
Oh, we want to get pepper sprayed together. So,
Oh, that's so sweet.
I hear it's good at melting snowflakes.
Well, I don't know what you two get into.
yeah.
But guys, if y'all have any disagreements, please just mud wrestle it out. Thank you.
That's actually, they renamed the Ghost Gunner to the Industrial Snowflake Melting Machine.
That's pretty funny. I like it. And, of course, we also have Trace Mayer back on. We haven't seen Trace since last year's Anarchapulco, but we're glad to have him. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Actually, we have him. And he was here for our debate.
The ghost in the debate.
The ghost in the debate. In reality, he came up with all the questions, some of which I butchered, but luckily he was
You
there.
did a great job. It was great.
Oh, well, sweet of you to say.
Oh, you got to be a butcher with an appetite like yours.
Am I right? Hey, don't make fun of me. Paul Puey's the one that, like,
I do.
Paul Puey's the one that, like, ate that restaurant out of all its food.
and then Chris cleaned up my seconds.
Yeah.
Amen. Good teamwork there, Paul. Trace, of course, is an early Bitcoin adopter and investor and proselytizer, much like Roger Ver, his arch nemesis. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Roger and I were great friends.
No, you think y'all are great friends. But definitely check out the very fruitful and lively debate that we recorded with Roger Ver and John Dilley, and then subsequent to Roger Ver's departure, because he had a lot to do, Jake Smith, one of his employees at Bitcoin.com filled in for him, did an admirable job.
The
debating
second
with,
half was called the beat up on Jake hour.
but he did an admirable job debating with three people on the opposite side, in Trace, John, and Tone Vase. But it was a very civil, though lively debate, and I thought a lot of good came out of it. And apparently, a lot of people think so out in the cyber or the crypto world, because I think it needed to happen. And some of the best minds were there to discuss it, and some of the politest people as well. So
And
that's
us.
a good combination. And us. We're just there for the witness services. I don't know what that means, but yeah, to witness. Let's see. Wait, what are we discussing actually?
This new stuff.
The new stuff.
Yeah. It's called Bitcoins.
What Bitcoins? Paul, can you tell us about Bitcoin?
Oh my gosh, who's the audience here? Who are you? Old grandma? You're Goldbug? You developer? A lot of cool things that I think are coming down the pipe are a little bit targeted at developers. I'm excited about a lot of the frameworks, the libraries available to people. I mean, this is trying to not, at least right at this point, talk about a lot of the controversy and the politics behind it. But I'm excited about one of the projects coming out of Purse, Bcoin, which is a complete full re-implementation of Bitcoin and JavaScript. Kind of thinking about the architecture from scratch, making it very modular, which a lot of people know that when Satoshi wrote the original Bitcoin code, it was very monolithic, one giant stack that did everything, including the wallet. But instead teasing things out and saying, okay, now I can do this part of Bitcoin, I can do that part, I can do a client side, I can do SPV. Tools like that coming out in the space are what excite me first and foremost.
So does this kind of increase the division of labor that can be applied to Bitcoin and allow more human resources to be devoted to its development because of this modular improvement, or what's the benefit, I guess?
So a few different benefits. From modularity, that means that different projects that aren't trying to build a full node can utilize some core portions of Bitcoin, like say transaction signing or SPV, querying of the blockchain, without saying, okay, I want to deal with consensus of the whole node, full node architecture. And now they can take that piece out and work on it themselves and contribute back to it. Because say as a wallet developer like us, if we want to use this SPV and that's it, why work with this monolithic code of Bitcoin Core just to do that one piece? And we therefore wouldn't be incentivized to contribute back because we're not using it in the first place. Where something that's modular, different developers and projects can use and contribute back to the different parts that they're utilizing. I also like the fact that it's just simply a different language. It lets you rethink the problem from scratch and not carry over any of the baggage of old code. It's not a different consensus. It agrees with the current network. It's not battling that in any sense. It's just a nice re-implementation by different heads, also very smart people, thinking it from scratch with a different language. And C++ is not a language that's easy to find current, up-to-date, sharp developers. It's kind of, I'm a C++ guy, and I think it's kind of a dying breed of developers. And so if you want some of the elite, new, great sharp developers, you're going to have to offer something interesting in the language and environments that they develop in. And I think that opens up Bitcoin to a new breed of developers, which have been restricted in the past.
So is C++ just going out of style and being replaced by newer software languages, or is it like people are using well-developed, long-established platforms on top of C that don't necessarily utilize the basic code when constructing software? Or why is it that it's hard to find a good?
Why is there a change? Well, just like we'll take the analogy that I always refer, since Danny's here and he's a builder and he builds homes. When you build anything, you build using tools that other people have used. For Bitcoin or even homes.
Bitcoin. Or any other crypto.
Or any crypto.
I'm the only one in Austin
exactly.
doing this.
And if you need some roofing, come to Danny. But in the same sense, there you go. Exactly. And Country Home Improvements is probably going to buy a 2x4 by someone else that built it. Right? And they have a different skill set in building that 2x4. He's got his skill sets to use it. Or was roof tiling, he uses the tools. So C++ came about in the 70s, 80s or whatnot, and it was meant to build very low level. It's to build the 2x4s. And now newer up-to-date languages build on top of that, and they're easier to use to build more complex things. So we couldn't have these really fancy user interfaces with cool scrolling and 3D effects and whatnot, but built on a language that's really meant to build 2x4s.
So it's kind of like with just basic computing and software, where you have like the ones and zeros in like the machine language or assembly language.
Exactly.
And C has basically kind of become another layer of that
On
in
top of
effect
that. Yep.
for a lot of other things that have been developed on top is what you're saying.
Exactly. Now there's
Okay.
layers on top of the C, C++, which are like the Python, and then now JavaScript, taking a lot of the mind share from developers and making it really easy for developers to build. And that's why I'm excited that there is another implementation in a more up-to-date language. It has its trade-offs, but at the same time, let's give it a shot and let's see what developers hop onto it, how we can improve and potentially be another good, well-adopted reference implementation for full nodes and for miners.
Absolutely. I want to get to Trace here in a minute, but I do want to ask you a couple more questions for the time being. One is definitely tell us what's new with Airbits, and maybe even just for listeners who don't know. A lot of our listeners do, but there's plenty who may not. Tell us what Airbits is about and then what's new with Airbits.
Cool.
Also, I'm curious. You mentioned something that since it's a new language, it'll kind of have fresh eyes on it. Is that a real phenomenon where if you get the same protocol or just a or the same program but in a different language, that somehow does that really make a difference as far as new perspective and a different way of thinking about it?
Exactly. I fundamentally think that does bring a new set of eyes, a new set of skill sets, new people, fresh minds on a problem, and now you don't have a small group of developers that came from decades ago working on being the only group of developers working on a project. And I think you shouldn't think that just because people have been doing it for 20 years means that they're the only people that will ever work on it. You should open it up and then evaluate the new people, the new developers, and the new languages and see whether or not they're capable. And so this is an opportunity to bring in new developers and see how good can they be in crypto, in distributed technology, and consensus networks. Because now we've opened it up into an environment and a language that they're accustomed to. So yeah, I do think it's fundamentally important, and that's why I like the fact that there's been a Go implementation, which is another language that's been around for a few years, and people say it's one of the most stable full node, mineable full node implementations. Now we've got one in JavaScript. We were working with another C++ implementation before, but it was still in kind of the same language but different implementation. So yeah, no, I'm excited about it for sure, and I think it is fundamentally important.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, if you're excited, I'm excited, Paul.
Yay.
Well, tell us, there's got to be more excitement to be had about Airbit. So
let's see what's new. When did I last chat with you guys? Was it New York or was it out? Did we chat after that? I want to make sure that I'm not rerunning.
I think we've done we've done some online.
We did online.
Tone's house and online.
We chatted again after.
Yeah, well, of course, we talked in Miami.
Got it. So that's right. We chatted a bit in Miami.
You did seem to allude to something the other day. I thought about a new development. I don't know if it's premature to talk about that.
Which was
maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. I thought you did allude to something. Maybe not. But anyway,
well, I'll talk about what's most recent. That's definitely very publicly available as far as what people can see on our website. And so we've taken that security model that we've built around our Bitcoin wallet. And I think in the last show I mentioned, edge security has been the key word that we're kind of pushing from a marketing point of view and functionality. We're taking that and we're deploying it so that other blockchain apps, other wallets, other crypto applications can use the same type of security, the same encryption client side, user-controlled encryption with backup and synchronization, and make it feel like they're just simply logging into an app or a website. And then what we've built on top of that, which makes it another order of magnitude more usable, is the world's first kind of zero-knowledge encrypted single sign-on. Right? We call it edge login. So a user with their Airbits wallet on their phone can quote-unquote log in to a decentralized app such as an Augur or a Wings, which is a partner that actually launched, I think, right at the conference that we saw you guys in Miami. So they launched the integration with Airbits just that day or a couple days before. And so people can go to the Wings. And these are all still in testnet, these applications, but they can see what the key management experience is like. And literally, as you take your Airbits wallet, you scan a barcode as if you're going to spend, but it's a barcode to log in. You hit approve, and that automatically creates, client side in the DApp, in the decentralized app, the private keys. It encrypts them, and it backs it up, and it links it to your Airbits account. All client side encrypted. And Airbits sees none of these keys.
Wow, back that app up.
Yeah. Back it up. I'm going to take that one. I'm taking that one. That's a good one.
You should.
Back that app up.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that user experience is what we're trying to push. And, apps are excited about it. We've got quite a few in the pipeline throughout the course of 2017. You should see that. And what maybe I had alluded to that you're referring to is as we support these applications by having them put Airbits inside their app, right? Securing keys for both Bitcoin and other crypto as well. We are having a close eye on the ability to cross-support those apps and their tokens by having support inside of Airbits. And so that way, when you log into this app and it creates private keys for, say, Ethereum or Rep or Wings, whatnot, you'd potentially be able to see those same tokens inside of Airbits. And you don't have to transfer between these wallets. They just exist in both places.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's pretty cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, and, real quick, again, one more thing before I want to switch gears, is we had a good discussion earlier on a topic that you just kind of touched the surface of. Now, you talked about your specific edge security platform for Airbits, but tell us about security. You as I mentioned to you earlier, you're one of the few people who really talks about security in the proper way. And tell me what you were telling me earlier.
Got it. So I think this is a rehash of a bit of what I'd mentioned at the conference, and someone asked the question. It wasn't even part of my talk. But the way we think about security is that it's not linear. It's not 100% is awesome, and that's as far as you can get, and 0 sucks, and everything in between. Instead, you always, with security, have to ask yourself, what are you concerned about? What's the attack that you're concerned about, and what are you willing to compromise to get that security? And so for us, we think about this, and my co-founders William Swanson wrote a great blog article that we just went and posted about what is security and how we define it. And so we look at what are the reasons why people lose access to their funds in the Bitcoin world or their data, right? What are the biggest causes? And so in analyzing that, the far biggest cause is centralized services. Right, you put it in the GOX or the stamp and the Finex and whatnot, and you've created a huge treasure trove, a honeypot for people to attack, whether internal or external. They get hacked, people lose coin. Boom, just like that. So centralized services being one of the biggest cause. A close second to that, a very close second to that, is people just messing it up themselves. So we're using these tools, and they're fairly complex, they're unfamiliar, and they're intimidating. And if you consider all three of those, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. And that's the second piece of why people lose Bitcoin. The third is, if you look at it as a very distant third, the third reason is that you actually get a very targeted device attack on an individual. Like your device gets targeted, hacked, and then you lose your coin, which is what you're going to hear a lot out of everyone else in the crypto space, but not me. Right? You're going to hear that a lot. You're going to be like, oh my God, my device is insecure. It's going to get attacked, blah, 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 and I'm going to lose a bunch of Bitcoin. If you look at the actual occurrences of that and the amount of Bitcoin lost in that regard, it's insignificant to non-existent. Right? It's very small, especially if you put it in the chart relative to the top 2 reasons why people lose coin. And so we've been trying to find and trying to build a solution that addresses the top 2. We don't forget about number 3, but addresses the top 2 so that people have the familiarity of what they would do with an exchange, just kind of a login subsystem, as well as the forgivability. Recoverability, there's familiar login subsystem, automatic backup in case they lose or destroy their device.